Hello and welcome to Politically Incorrect Knitters. My name is Pinkava, joined as always by the lovely Deplorable Knitter. And this week we have a special guest, Mike Harlow from WalkAway.
Hey, I'm so glad to be here. I was watching a bunch of your episodes and stuff, and you guys are just so awesome.
Oh, thank you. We're excited to have you. But before we find out about Mikey, we need to talk about Chicken Lady.
So our sponsor, we are sponsored as always by the lovely Chicken Lady Fiber Arts. You can get 20% off your order by using our code PIK Mayday20, and you can get beautiful yarns like this, which is the deprogrammed colorway in honor of our friend Carrie Smith.
Carrie.
And Carrie's awesome. Carrie actually hooked us up with Mike, so it's a whole big happy family right here. And I think probably a lot of our followers, I mean, I know some of our followers do watch you, but for the ones that don't, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, I'm also known as my more popular name, What's His Face, or that bitch. My name's Mike. I write and I have a YouTube channel. I've been traveling as a speaker with the WalkAway movement for the last couple of years. I was like one of the original walkers in the group. I'm a former Democrat, former liberal, now hardcore Republican. I wouldn't say I'm conservative, but I think Republican has kind of become an umbrella, or at least should be an umbrella of all different types of people. I think it's kind of just the crazy, psychotic left versus all of us at this point.
Yeah, no, I think that's a lot of what it is. So what do you have, like a specific thing that happened to you that made you switch, or was it a gradual shift in thinking? Or
I mean, I feel like it's kind of like leaving a cult, where it's like a progression and you start noticing things that just kind of add up. But I think one of the big things at the time was the political correctness was psychotic, which, by the way, I feel like it sounds funny now. Do you remember how quaint things were back in around like 2016 era, when the things we were concerned about were like political correctness and comedians being able to perform in colleges? And now it's like, if the government will allow you to keep your business open, or if you have to inject yourself with something by force, or be put out of business.
Right. I was listening to, it was like a 5-year anniversary video from a different show, and it was questions we had 5 years ago. And some of it was the same. It was be like, okay, so even then we had the transgender sports issue, and we had this and we had that. It's like, oh, we did not know what was coming at all. Everything's the same, and yet everything is different.
I think some of us did, though. I think for a lot of us, we could see the direct line that could be drawn from one to the other, because it was always about control. It was always about authoritarianism. I mean, that is really one of the core scams that's going on beneath all this woke shit. It's just a scam. It has nothing to do with Black people or gay people or trans people. These are just the vehicles that they use to manipulate us. Like, identity is basically just their snake oil, but they're selling with all of us. I was just talking about this with somebody, that he was saying wokeness is sort of just one branch of this whole agenda, this bigger tree. And I was thinking, I'm like, wokeness is kind of the syringe that's being used to inject us with poison. Like, it's just the vehicle that's taking us to this communist oligarchy hellhole.
A lot of it too, a lot of this is I think of it as Obama era. I know that it all happened before then, but it's like, it's the same old stuff again. Obamacare. And I remember that the whole Tea Party movement, when that happened around Obamacare, it was if the government controls your health, the government controls you, that this is a very big issue. And lo and behold, and I remember at the time, I was listening to the radio talk about it, and it was this little blip. I don't know that I've heard anything about it after, but it was something about, oh, well, environmentalist activists say that, we shouldn't have inhalers for asthma because, that's bad for the ozone layer. And I remember sitting there like, these people are crazy enough. These people are crazy enough to, and like, this was 10 years ago, but it's like, these people are crazy enough to harm people's health for the supposed environmental concerns. And it was just like this shock moment for me that I'm like, no, this is an issue. And then we had Black Lives Matter in Obama era and the Trayvon Martin thing, and we were conservatives and alternate media sources were battling that crap then.
Yeah, it's funny. I was thinking recently about back then, because I was still, I like volunteered for Obama. Then once he was in office, I was like, oh, he's kind of not what we were told he was going to be, but I was still kind of on board, I guess. But I was thinking about how, remember how conservatives had told us back then when that happened about government control in healthcare, what that would lead to. And know-nothing Democrats like myself at the time called them crazy and said that would never happen, and it's just about free healthcare. How do you like it now?
You know, it's sort of the things like the old crazy conservatives were like, we were right. You're like, oh, well, you know, got there eventually. It's all right.
Yeah, well, it's funny because anything that's labeled like a conspiracy theory, just wait, it's going to come to fruition. We've been shown over and over.
It's down to like a 3-month lifespan now of like conspiracy theory to reality.
Right.
It's unfortunate. So when you left,
lizard people,
dude, I was just listening to a true crime thing about some dude who killed his kids because he was convinced they were lizard people, and I was like, oh, it's so sad. And also,
I love true crime, by the way.
I know, which is why I actually mentioned that. It just worked out very well. But when you finally decided that you were like done with the Democrats, did you have any issues? Like, were you denounced by your Democrat friends, or were you, you hear those stories?
Oh, I lived those stories. Yeah, I lost every single friend I'd ever had in my life, except my one best friend, because we agree on stuff. But other than that, no, I lost every friend I ever had. And it's funny because I wasn't even a Republican then. I was still not super conservative. I wasn't for Trump because this was happening around like 2016. I was, that was in the era where everybody was like, oh, I'm a classical liberal. But no, it doesn't matter. Even because I'd always, cared about politics. So even just in that primary in 2016, I was simply trying to educate myself on who to vote for between Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton. So I was kind of researching the facts, their records, their everything. And I learned very quickly that regardless of whichever one it was, you were not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to ask questions. You were not allowed to take issues with anything. It's just so cult-like, and I've never been about that sort of herd mentality. And I think now, since I sort of walked away from it, in my mind, going back and realizing all of these different things that felt so out of place that I didn't have the knowledge or the language at the time to be able to identify it as, oh, these are liberals, and that's why I'm out of step with them.
Which is funny because it's kind of rare if you'll get a Trump supporter who doesn't have, well, I love him, but I have this issue or that issue. It's even, to a certain extent that, yes, there are things that you disagree with, your quote guy on, but also that, that it's almost an acceptable thing, that it's sort of that whole liberal bent on the narrative that it's like, you have to justify everything, where the other side doesn't have to justify. It's like, I'm a Bernie bro, and everyone's like, okay, that's just how it is. All right.
I'm with her.
You don't have to say, oh, but Hillary Clinton and Juanita Broderick. No, you don't have to say that. You can just be a Hillary fan.
That was the big red pilling thing for me too, is seeing how issue after issue after issue, the things that they claimed to care about, like the Me Too stuff, for example, unless, not Juanita Broderick, not that woman. Oh, listen to Black people, not that Black person. Listen to gay people, not that gay person. So, like I said, it's a total scam from top to bottom. Their words mean nothing. And the thing is too, for me, I didn't vote for Trump in 2016, and I very much did in 2020. I would have voted for him 1,000 times if I could. Only Joe Biden voters can do that, though, as we know.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I kept saying in 2020, I'm like, people, I don't think quite realized that Trump was not only the better conservative, he was the better liberal, because on all of these issues that liberals claimed to care about for years, criminal justice reform, even environmental stuff, he was really good on. He was just light years ahead of Biden on every issue. But like I said, their words mean nothing. All of these issues that they claim to care about, then they go and vote for, oh, Black Lives Matter. So let's vote for somebody with a half a century record of screwing Black people, bankrupting them, imprisoning them. But there's not even that much thought put into it from these people. It's just all built around social pressure.
It is, and I say it every week that to be a liberal, you have to be in lockstep. They don't care. They don't want you asking questions. They don't want you having quantifiers. They don't. Even though Anna and I are good friends and we're very much on the same page, there's a few things that we don't agree on, but we can still get together and get past that. And they don't want that. If you don't think exactly like them, then you're just nothing. And it's just craziness. And heaven forbid you ask a question.
No, and I think it's 10 times worse too if you're any sort of minority or belong to any of these groups that they seem to think that they have ownership of. Like they want you under their thumb, no matter what it is. If you, especially with a lot of these liberals, like, oh yeah, they love gay people as long as they can put you in a dress and make you do a tap dance.
But it's true. They want to corner the market on it. They want to, we love Black people. But do you really? Do you actually? Because what you say and what you do don't seem to be the same thing. And that's the part that it's just so funny. Anybody I've talked to who's been red pilled is just like so. I think maybe after years of not being able to talk about stuff, they just have so many opinions. I have a cousin that was red pilled. You would not believe him during the election. He was out of control. It was so funny to watch because I think for so long he had been part of this is what we do, this is what we say, and finally he was free and he was like wild. It's crazy. But
I think is a big thing too, that it's like, wait, I have opinions. And sometimes, somebody goes off and you're like, well, that's kind of odd, but you said it out loud. Good for you, buddy.
Yeah. No, I was, we went with WalkAway. We were doing this LGBT town hall in Chicago. And the next day was like the Pride Parade there. So we kind of infiltrated the Pride Parade. And there was like the God Hates Fags people were there on some corner. And I was like, oh, well, screw them. But also, yeah, free speech. Like I was kind of oddly happy about that. And what's funny? People were 1,000 times more pissed off about us than the God Hates Fags people.
because you're not following the line. You have your own ideas, and so you're much more dangerous because it's a lot easier. We don't like the God Hates Fags people. As Christians, I think that's not the way you do things. So it's easier to hate the people that are a little bit wishy-washy. Everybody hates the God Hates Fags people. I mean, No,
and that's another thing is like, especially with conservatives and with Christians, like these people who I had been told to hate my whole life, not only told that I should hate, but told that was convinced, oh, these are the people that hate me. Then I actually got to know many of them and was shown more love and support and kindness than liberals ever showed me, and realized how wrong and how ignorant I was. But they just rely on ignorance.
There's a couple of women in the knitting community who are Black women, and they are so out of control, and they think they're right. And I don't know if people are just too scared to be like, hey, you just don't say these things, or I don't understand the hold that liberalism has over some of these people. Like, is it that cult mentality? Okay, excellent. Tell me.
It is very appealing for somebody to be told nothing in life is your fault. You are victims. You have everything coming to you. You are entitled to the world. You are responsible for nothing. Anything wrong in your life, it's white people's fault, it's straight people's fault. It's something like that's very appealing for people who don't want to, It's like, have you ever seen that meme where it's like, they have two booths and one is uncomfortable truths and the other is bitter lies. Bitter lies, or the opposite. You know what I mean? The people don't want to hear the truth, basically.
Yeah.
They don't want to look inward. They don't want to take responsibility. It's much easier to just blame other people.
I guess that's true. I just can't imagine raising my kids like that. Like, that's the scariest thing about some of this stuff is these people have kids and they're telling them it's because people don't like you because you're Black. No, I don't like you because of the way you act. It has nothing to do with what you look like. You're a fool and you act like one. Like, there's, it sounds terrible to say, but it's so true. Like, my kids have best friends that are Black. One day, one of them said to me, I didn't know she was Black. And I'm like, well, that's fine. Like, it doesn't matter.
So great. No, that's exactly how I would, like, growing up. My best friend was Mexican. Like, it's not something I would even known or realized, you know? Like, and that's how, and I think that's why, because for me, I'm from Manhattan originally. I grew up around all different types of people, so it makes no difference to me. But I think a lot of these liberals, especially certain types of them, like, they think that everybody else is secretly thinking the things that they are, you know? They think everybody, like, I think they're the ones who are just always around people who are exactly like them. And that's why they think everyone else has the same ideas that they do.
Right, which is something that always surprised me in talking with liberals, that that they'll come. This was, more closer to the election that this would happen, but when the narrative was Trump, 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 and these horrible Trump people, they're the worst, and I'm like, hi, did you not expect to meet one in your day-to-day life?
To have a literally Hitler. Everyone is literally Hitler, so they can't have, still Trump is like the most literally Hitler to have ever literally Hitler. But because it's an ideology that's just based in irrational hatred of other people, they always need to have that boogeyman to blame. So, Joe Rogan was literally Hitler for a little bit. Now Elon Musk is literally Hitler for the day.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
DeSantis is the most, God forbid if he runs, they're gonna, he'll be literally Hitler, literally Mussolini, all of them. God, I hope he runs, by the way. I love him.
I think he would be great, but that's one of the issues with Trump running again, that a lot of people are like, well, Trump can't run again, he's too damaged. And on the other hand, I'm like, yeah, but they're going to destroy anybody the same amount as Trump, and Trump does have a track record for doing extremely well in office. So I don't know what you think about that. I'm
mad at him, honestly. Like, my honest opinion, and I was his biggest supporter in 2020. I was asked to participate in his convention and speak. I traveled the whole country. I worked my ass off trying to get him elected. But at the moment, I'm honestly quite pissed at him. And I think, obviously, it goes without saying that the MAGA, America First, is very much obviously the direction that the Republican Party needs to go in. So I think he should definitely be very influential behind the scenes, but I'm praying that he doesn't run again, because honestly, I think he was an amazing president from 2017 to 2019. 2020, he fell apart. I think there are just too many mistakes. And a lot of people get pissed off at me when I say this, but I don't know what the plan is if he were to run again, because for me, I feel like he's already shown that he can't combat any sort of cheating. So, and maybe nobody could, but I think at least with somebody else, there's the opportunity. And for me, because I'm in New York City, so I've been segregated for the last year. I was furious that he didn't show any leadership on the mandate. So I think he's a little bit compromised when it comes to the COVID stuff. But more than anything, I think people just have their minds made up about him. I feel like we just need a bit of a fresh start.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's one of the kind of difficult things too, because that all of the, from being starting from a conservative angle and then seeing Trump come on the scene and farther there, that's like, well, you said that he's a better liberal than a liberal. Certainly he's a better conservative than the conservatives. And,
yes.
Yeah, the old conservatives have
Ugh.
promised things for years, and then they said they'd deliver, and they'd get into office, and they'd only be mostly less liberal than the liberals. And Trump came in and blasted in like, no, really, we can cut all these regulations. No, really, peace in the Middle East, we can do that. We can start no new wars. We can do all these things. We can make trade deals and have everything work. And then, old Mitt Romneys of the world are all up in a snit. And it's like, yeah, because Mitt Romney could never have done that. And that is my only worry about like a DeSantis. I think DeSantis is brilliant in Florida, and I think he does really well. But with the amount of opposition that Trump has, that it's like, yeah, I think he flubbed a lot of things. I think the whole COVID situation was very difficult, but I wonder if anybody else would have let the states have as much control over their individual COVID policies as Trump did. That it's a hypothetical of who might have done better or this or that. But I'm like, well, Trump is our proven candidate. I am so concerned that there may be a do less Republican. And again, DeSantis is awesome. I'm not saying anything against him, but when Trump first came on the scene, I voted for Ted Cruz. So glad he was not the candidate, but I didn't know what Trump would do. I didn't know, what kind of an actual presidential candidate is. And now, having had him as president, I'm like, oh, this is the only candidate who does good things when I'm not looking. That never happens for a politician. So I have that little bit of a back and forth, like, okay, but at the same time, that there were a lot of issues internally with the Trump presidency, but at the same time, he pushed other stuff. So who knows?
Yeah, don't get me wrong. If he runs and he's the nominee, I'll do just as much, if not more, than I did last time to try to help him win. But I just have a bad feeling about it. I feel like with DeSantis, what I like about him is I feel like he really gets it. I feel like there's almost nobody in office who gets all the little things. Even he passed a bill where, I forget the details of it, but they have to teach economics to kids.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm like, that's not something that people would think about as being so important, because you wonder why in college everyone's becoming socialists and communists because they don't know anything. So what I love about DeSantis is I feel like he sees the bigger picture of how all these little things add up and are causing the bigger picture of problems that we have. What I think is going to happen, though, is I think it's basically all up to Trump. I think if he decides to run, the only other people who would run are horrible Republicans that we would hate, like Liz Cheney or Mitt Romney. So that's not an option. I think if he doesn't run, then I think DeSantis will. So that's what I'm hoping. I'm like, please just don't run.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about Trump anymore either. Not that I dislike him or anything. By the time the next election comes around, he's going to be what, 80 or something? Like, he proved he could do it, but maybe part of his appeal was the fresh blood, the fresh perspective. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing one of his kids run with DeSantis, like as a partner, but you know what I mean? Trump was great for what he did. I don't know if he's what we need again. And I'm hoping that whatever happens, I don't know if you saw 2000 Mules, but the election has finally come. There's absolute proof. And so I'm hoping that there's going to be some sort of plan. Like we can't just go willy-nilly into the night and just let them do it all again. We know what they're doing. So hopefully there's going to be some sort of plan next time around to prevent kind of the stuff. But I don't know. I don't know if Trump's the answer.
I agree and this Dr. Oz stuff has really made me cross over into full distrust at this point. I feel like, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I feel like if you look up controlled opposition in the dictionary, it would have his Botoxed face.
I don't know. I haven't looked much into that race, but mostly I'm like, Dr. Oz, it's the daytime TV medicine guy. Why?
Not even medicine. The scams that he would push on people and the the miracle cures. And it's one thing, I think, hell, I mean, I'm part of the WalkAway movement of former liberals. So I think it's one thing for people to change their minds. However, when somebody was on the polar opposite side of every single issue 6 months ago, without any sort of, telling us any sort of compelling personal story about why that changed, like this guy, I mean, I don't know what it is. I think as a whole, people on the right need to start getting a little bit smarter and wisening up to controlled opposition. January 6th is another example. I mean, they were basically like lambs being led to the slaughter. And so it's like, at what point do you guys, and then, Dr. Oz, if he gets into office, then they're going to act shocked when he's voting for all these horrible things and giving China more power. Oh, and that other Republican is equally horrible with China. But something, I don't know, that whole election, I just feel like something smells fishy.
Well, yeah, something is fishy there, but you're so right about like this conservatives, and I've talked about it in the knitting community too. We have this tendency where somebody says, "Oh, I agree with you now," and so like we're like so excited, we just run up and we hope that they'll like pat our head and like there's nothing wrong with getting excited about stuff, but we need to think a little bit more.
I was gonna say it's the thing that everybody loves a convert. Like, woohoo, you agree with me. And I mean, part of that is part of the WalkAway movement, and certainly that, it's very sincere in, wait, I was wrong, I'm turning around. But also it's, sometimes you need to take a little bit of time to vet people first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think, I've come to realize that one of the empty platitudes I hate the most is when these people say, oh, I didn't leave the left left me. I didn't change, they did. I guess at face value that's true, but like, I don't know, if you ask me, like, hell yeah, I've changed. I've learned things and grown, and I don't know, I feel like getting red pilled or walking away from the left, it has to be, if it's not an act of humility, then there's something phony about it. I feel like you can't look at it as blaming everyone else, or then you're basically just still a leftist. Like, you have to look inward. How did I get it so wrong? How did I allow myself to be manipulated? And I think a lot of people don't do it, or some people don't do that.
Yeah, well, with what you said about liberalism before, like introspection, man, that sucks. Looking in the mirror and being like, no, wait, I was wrong, you were right. No fun, no good. No, and a lot of people just don't want to do it.
That's so true what you said, though, that like they want to just embrace anyone who agrees with them. And it's like, I think they're getting played in a lot of aspects like that, like all these things that we mentioned. So, it bugs me because it's like the left is always so much more strategic than the right. And it's like, if you guys aren't going to wise up at some point, then what's the point?
Yeah, no, that's true. So when you do the WalkAway stuff, like, what is that like? I mean, there's a whole bunch of speakers, right, that talk about their experience. Are you talking to people that agree with you? Are you talking about people on the fence? Like, what, tell me.
I think we get a big cross section. We also get like the screaming crazy leftists, but I think that's honestly, though, my favorite thing about the WalkAway events that I think is kind of unique to our events is that if you look at the crowd, you will see like bikers, grandmas, teenagers, like the weirdest. I mean, there was one event we did where there was a whole group of people with like blue mohawks and stuff. I was like, hell yeah, my people. We're not going to let leftists take dyed hair from us. But we have the oddest assortments of people that you could ever imagine. And I love that so much. And I think that's reflected in the speakers too, is that I think, there are people who walked away. There are people who were lifelong conservatives. There are people who are independents. So yeah, I think it's sort of just, and also I think something I've come to learn too is a lot of these like big groups on the right, or I've gotten real sick of them because it's just like such empty talking points, and they have the agenda that's set and everyone repeats. So
Send money now to sendmoneynow.com to crush those liberals.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yup. But yeah, what I love about groups like WalkAway or also Myth-Informed, and is an amazing group I worked with, is that nobody will ever tell you what to say, what to think, what to believe. It's just sort of more about open-mindedness.
That's cool. And I had wanted to ask you earlier too, when you're talking about your red pilling. So when you changed your mind about your politics and things, how did your family feel about that? Because I've seen your parents on like videos with you and things. Were they liberal or were they conservative, hoping you would change? Or
No, they were like liberal. You know, I grew up, my whole family are musicians, so I grew up, you know, in the arts in Manhattan, so we're all liberal Democrats. My mom, it's funny because my mom, if I took the red pill, she snorted it because she like thinks that I'm like, where did you get it? Like she's very, very, very anti-abortion now, and I think she used to be pro-choice. So like, I'm like, this didn't come from me. I'm like, what are you looking up on your own? My dad. So yeah, so my mom is like super red pill, loves Trump. So my dad is like so annoying because he like I'll make progress with him, but then he sits and watches MSNBC all day, and we're right back to square one. But he supports me. The first event I ever did with WalkAway, it blew up. We did an LGBT town hall in New York, and it blew up into this massive shit storm where they canceled the event, and we needed a new venue, and the hate speech, and they took out this entire hit campaign on us of like, we're responsible for violence against Jews, Muslims. Like, we got the Jews and Muslims to agree, but every group of people you can imagine. So my dad came. I think he said no, but I think at the time there might have been a little doubt in the back of his mind, like, shit, what the hell is he talking about? And then he came to the event. He's like, yeah. And he came to the event and saw what a love fest it was, and he was like, I don't get it. Where's all the hate speech? I'm like, good question.
Which is funny. That on one hand, it's like, did my son join a cult? On the other hand, it's like, wow, I was waiting for some quality rants. Like, this is nobody banged the podium. What's with this?
I know. But no, but that's the thing. We so many protesters for that event, and a bunch of them, and every time we'll be like, hey, it's a town hall, why don't you come inside, make your voice heard, we want to hear from you. No, they will never do that because it would destroy their entire ideology. If they need us to be, like I said, they need us to be literally Hitler. They need us to be these supervillains in their minds. Like and this isn't just us, this is you guys, this is any non-leftist in these people's lives, that they basically create fictional characters in their heads that share your names and faces, but basically nothing else.
Right.
So if they came inside and heard what we actually had to say and realized we're not racists, we're not Nazis, we're not that's just not possible. Like they need their justification because it's an ideology based in nothing but irrational hatred of other people.
I wanted to say, when you were talking about all, like, they won't come into the town hall, like, you know, that's what they do. That's what they've done to me. I'm a racist, I'm a homophobe, I'm a transphobe, because they just take all of the things they can think of, all the bad things they can think of, and they throw it until something sticks, and you can't argue. So if they actually spoke to me and found out my life story and things, they would know that those things aren't true, but that's why they have to stay outside the town hall. Because you can't come in the town hall and hear what I have to say like a human person and still call me all the names. Like, it's part of the problem.
No, it's funny too, because like my parents, support me totally, but they started getting, when I first started doing this, they started getting a lot of shit. People wouldn't be friends with them anymore because of who their son is. And my dad's brother like banned my parents from going to dinner with them or anything because of me. Like, it's crazy. And then people started trying to tell them stuff I apparently did. Like, somebody told my dad once at that time that they saw a video of me in front of a swastika. And I told my dad at the time, I was like, do me a favor. whenever somebody comes to you shit like this, you just need to say 2 words. Cool. Show me. And so he did that. He was like, okay, show me. And the guy was, of course, like, oh, well, I don't know where. I'm like, just keep pushing on it. Push, push, push. Show me, show me, show me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Receipts to leftists are like crosses for vampires.
That's so true. Like when all the knitting stuff went down, the big thing that went around was that either it wasn't clear, but either myself or my husband had doxed someone. Never was really sure which of us did it. But after I started saying, hey, show me what was sent to this woman. It's the internet. I'm sure she has the information. It kind of, like, they were still saying it. It's still part of the mythology around me, but like it's kind of way down at the bottom because there's nothing to see because it never happened.
Of course.
But you know,
2 things that will survive nuclear fallout: cockroaches and Twitter. I'm sure it's out there somewhere if it exists.
Yup. Oh, I was recently falsely accused of doxing also.
Yeah, well, you know what the magical thing about the internet is if I had doxed somebody, which I never did, but if I had, there would have been an email, a screenshot, a DM, there would have been something. And if somebody did it to me, I would be blasting that stuff everywhere. You open my Instagram, it would be my profile picture. Like that's what would be happening if it happened to me. But no, it doesn't happen. It's not real.
And I love when people get exposed with like DMs or something and they try to say, it's fake or something. Somebody tried to do that to me once, that they photoshopped fake DMs of me. Within an hour, I had him sobbing, begging for my forgiveness before I sued him into oblivion because and I think this is an important point for larger things for people to know, that I think a lot of times, you know, people are afraid of being called these words. People are afraid of being accused of things that I think their instincts sometimes are to shy away from it or to hide. I feel the totally opposite way. I think shine a light on that. Let everybody see the crazy up close and personal. Let them hear these people in their own words. So I just like shine a spotlight on it.
And the other cool thing is once you've been canceled, you can't be more canceled. There's not levels of being canceled. So once it's happened, it's over. So move on. It's all good.
Yeah. So this was, you know, one of the things that was in the midst of my red pilling too, but I'd written a TV series that we were in the middle of pitching to a pretty big network. And it was about, you know, it was gay main characters, about being gay and single from an honest perspective, not a leftist one, but it wasn't political even or anything. And then GLAAD brought their boot down on us and said, we will fight you every step of the way in making this. You will never get this made, and canceled everything because they control very tightly any portrayal, any image of gay people. We see exactly what they want us to see. Yeah, so screw them. I'm doing it myself.
I'm surprised that they care that much. Like, what could you possibly show that would be so offensive to them? Like, that's the part I don't get.
The truth.
Okay.
The truth. Even just in people's personalities of characters, even you know, the fact that the main problems that gay people face today are other gay people. They don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that the things we do are our own faults, or, you know, the fault of this toxic culture. It was, I guess, in many ways, sort of an indictment of modern gay culture. And they can't have that because it's sort of like a vicious cycle that they foster this toxic culture that is poison for people. And that's how they get them dependent on them. And that's how they profit. And it repeat.
Yeah, you can't, you know, big money, LGBTQ, whatever, that, you know, you can't sell T-shirts and magazines and your own personal narrative, that there is a very, like, you know, I'm the hero because I fit this box. And if there's anything even coming close to attacking that, that's not allowed at all. And this box also has to have this ideology. You have to have you have to express these attitudes towards certain issues. You cannot leave the box, but in this box, you're a saint. And yeah, it's
As long as you stay in it.
as long as
And
you stay in, don't move a toe out.
no, and that is, and it goes so, especially in the gay world, but I'm sure it's everyone, it goes so the hell beyond politics. I mean, just with your personalities, with the interests you're allowed to have, with, I mean, these people who pretend like they're fighting against norms and all that, like, have such a hatred for anyone that doesn't fit into their norms. Like, they will just break your bones trying to shove you into these predetermined boxes. And that's why my entire life, since the day I came out when I was 18, there was always something very off kilter between me and mainstream gays. I always felt misunderstood. I could never get along with them. And now I realize what that is. They're like liberal gays. Buy into this culture.
So when you were red pilled and you lost all your friends and stuff, did the conservatives hate you because you were gay? Because that's part of the narrative, right? That's part of what we're supposed to do, right?
No, actually, much the opposite. It's funny because, like I said, all I had ever felt for like a decade of being gay and dating and being around these people, being a liberal, the only thing I ever felt from other gay people than other gay liberals was hated, judged, scorned, misunderstood. And it's funny because the acceptance that I had always craved from gay people that I never got, I oddly enough found amongst conservatives. And actually, this is kind of the first time in my life that I have a ton of gay friends that I'm close to. They're not leftists. So it's funny. I think that's true for a lot of us, though, that like this was sort of within us all along, and we didn't quite realize that we didn't have the knowledge to identify it as sort of like a left-right thing.
Yeah, I think the end of Obama's terms and the Trump coming in really brought into stark focus like what the political machine really was. Like I've always been conservative, but I was never like conservative until like I realized how crazy things were. And I think that like, I don't know. I hated Obama's presidency. It was awful. We're seeing it again, but that was a good thing that came out of it was like so many people realized that politics are important and it's these career people are crazy and yeah, you don't have to be in these boxes.
Right. And also to kind of bring it back to WalkAway again, I think that's one of the brilliant things that WalkAway does is that, I mean, you're going to Beverly Hills, you're doing events in Manhattan, you're doing it, you're out there in what some people think, oh, well, this is the craziest liberal spot. No one's going to listen to you. They're not going to agree with you. They're just going to yell at you. And your movement is very much no, that was me and I was looking and I was wondering why these things didn't add up and whoa, wait, the truth is out there and you just need to get it in front of people and some will reject it but some will accept you and you never know which is which.
And I think part of that is kind of redefining conservatism, or not even redefining it, but sort of just figuring out what that means to you. Like I'm obviously not any sort of conventional conservative. I don't even call myself that because I don't want to be looked at as, or I don't want to be expected to have to uphold some ideology or value system. But I think a lot of people have more conservatism in them than they realize. Like I think even if you just look at family values, that's something that a lot of people talk about. And I think in terms of gay people, we've always been led to believe that family values is something that's just exclusively for straight people, something that's off limits to us. When in reality, family values, that is the solution to nearly every problem in the LGBT community. Mm-hmm. That's the solution to it, or like they could benefit from some traditional values.
Right. Well, it's part of how they get controlled, though. I mean, and it happened in the Black community too. You break down families, you break down these values, and that's how you get people under your thumb. But I think you're right. You know, and conservatives do need to decide what they're going to do about some of this stuff. And you know, we don't. This is the thing that I think we all need to remember. We don't have to always dance in joy for everything that somebody else does. We just need to accept people. You're going to do stuff I'm not going to like. Anne's going to do stuff that I'm not going to like. My kids are going to do crap that really makes me angry. But I'm going to accept all of you, because what good is pushing you away and demonizing you going to do? I don't know.
Yeah, of course. And it's insane. I mean, just this idea of like celebrating everything. You know, when they talk about, and this is something the alphabet people do all the time. Oh, love yourself, love yourself. Trust me, these people love themselves, but you will never hear them say respect yourself. Never. And also it's like, well, should I love myself that I was a chain smoker for years? Should we love everything about ourselves, or should we be striving to improve ourselves and show ourselves the loyalty and the respect to do that? But they don't want that.
No, they don't want that. And that's there's the big push now to love your body of every shape. And to an extent, I agree with that, because you get the model on the magazine that's 80 pounds. Nobody looks like that. Everybody feels bad that you can't look like that. Okay, so yeah, true.
Sorry, like, Mike is sitting there like, I'm sorry, I do look that great.
but
the rest of us are like, nope. Sorry.
So there's a difference between, you know, having 80-pound models on everything and being healthy and being, you know, loving yourself and taking care of yourself. And you don't want to chain smoke. You don't want to be morbidly obese. It gives you all kinds of health problems. But now we've got this, nothing anybody does is wrong. Everything is like you said, embrace all the crap. Don't do anything good for yourself. Because, you know, if you feel good about yourself, you might not need them either.
No, and I think now it's not just particularly destructive, but it's deliberately destructive what they're doing with kids. I mean, it's just the outcome is going to be the most damaged people to ever walk the face of the earth. The poison that's being injected in these kids' minds. I mean, this is how you destabilize a society.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of anything worse. And it's funny because when I was first Red Pill, one of the first videos I made was about this agenda being pushed on kids. It was called Stop Pushing LGBT on Children. That was probably like 2018, 2019. And I was thinking I want to do a volume 2 or something. And at this point, I wouldn't know where to start. It would be a 20-hour video, because in that one that I did, I showed a lot of different stories and examples of this happening. Where the hell do you even start with it now? It's just become the norm.
It has. And, you know, I homeschool my kids. And part of it is because I want to be in charge of what they're learning. And part of it is because, you know, I don't want them having to wear masks and all of these, like, there's just a lot of reasons for doing it. But I think one of the best things is that they are able to be themselves in our house with the friends that I know. And I don't have to worry about somebody saying, you know, oh, well, I always use this one. My one kid is always a freaking cat. So what, does that mean that they should transition to being a cat? No, because that's a kid being a kid. And if you don't let them explore and do different things, that's normal. So what, if one of my kids puts on a dress someday and is like, I'm a girl, I'm going to be like, okay, you're wearing dresses for the rest of your life. Like, there's just, it's gotten so out of control. It's.
And I think what's very interesting, this is a point that I don't hear get spoken about enough, but if you look at a lot of the people pushing this, look at these teachers. Like, you go and look at something like Lives of TikTok, and you see all of these teachers who are pushing this shit. None of them have kids. They're these radical, non-binary, queer, whatever. They're childless people telling you that they know what's best for children. And I think why that's important is that these are people who have absolutely no comprehension and no understanding of the psychology of children. That like you guys should talk to my friend Megan Fox. She's an amazing writer. She talks about this a lot, but she was telling me about how her son, who's a little kid, was like, oh, I want to dress or something. And she was like, no, you don't. She's like, you want to play dress up. She's like, what I did, I got all these costumes for boys. And that's what he wanted to do. Because kids like things that are colorful. Kids like things that are fancy and fun. So you have to do that in a way that's guiding them in a direction that's healthy for them.
Right, because you're the parent.
And he never brought up again that he wants a dress.
But that's the thing, nobody parents anymore. That's an example of parenting.
Yeah, and on the other hand, too, then suddenly you have, I mean, that's, of course, you know, that, yes, you do want to direct your kids in positive directions. You don't want to, even the simple thing of, no, you can't have candy for supper. No, you can't have anything you want in life. You got to direct them towards good things. But also, it's also kind of worrying that it's like, are you going to get children who are afraid to imagine? Because, okay, well, what if I imagine I'm this character? Do I have to be this character forever now just because I saw a movie, or, you know, the kid relates to, you know, the opposite gender characters more? So it's like, oh, well, you might be trans. Like, maybe the kid just likes stuff. Let the kid like stuff and, you know, imagine and have phases and just chill.
And let me tell you also, like, I can tell you for an absolute fact that if I were growing up with all this stuff then, 100% I would have been targeted. I would have been told that I'm some sort of trans. Because when I was younger, my heroes were like David Bowie or Davey Havok. Like, I loved that sort of like androgynous style where I was like, I don't want to look male. I just want to look like an alien, is how I felt. I've like half grown out of it. But that was just about fashion choices and personal style. But now that would make you some sort of trans. They'd be like, that's very nice. Eat your hormones with your cereal, Mike.
Right. And it goes back to parenting. Like, you know, I had a brother growing up. If I played with his He-Man toys, it's not like my parents would have been like, oh, she wants to be a boy. No, I'm playing with my brother. Like, I'm just doing what kids do. And there's no, you know, I've got friends who are like, oh, I'm just going to give my kids all different kinds of toys and let them have whatever. That's fine. But you don't, sorry, it just kills me because I'm in the midst of raising kids and just the stuff that people are pushing is just, I can't even.
Right. I mean, and there's been studies as far back as the 90s where it's like you give, quote, boy toys to girls and girl toys to boys. And what happens? This is a mommy truck and this is a daddy truck and this is a baby truck when you hand it to the little girl and the little boy bends over the Barbie and goes bam, bam.
That's what these people don't understand, though, is that like they can talk about, oh, these things, social construct, whatever. We could start from scratch a new society and these things would reoccur because, I mean, just go and look on Twitter how many times you've had these radical feminists with their daughters saying how badly they're trying to get them to not like dresses and not like princesses, and that's all they want. Gee.
Mm-hmm. There's a reason these things kind of evolve the way they do because it's normal. And my stepdad is 80 years old, okay? He has always said to me that if you have a baby in a room and you have a little boy and a little girl, 9 times out of 10, little boy will give no craps at all that there's a baby in there. And the girl will always go up to the baby because it's normal, it's maternal. Even from a small age, girls know that they are going to take care of that baby. Even though I have the best husband in the world, when our kids were small, he wasn't that interested in them. Now that they're big enough to do things, he's like way more into them than, and it's genetic, it's natural, it's evolution, whatever it is, it's because girls and boys are different and that's life. And we need to stop buying into all this nonsense.
No, that's literally how it was when I was a kid. My mom was like, oh, don't fall, don't do this. And my dad was like, cool, let's play Nintendo.
Yeah. Exactly.
But these people, they just deny reality. It's really like the war on reality.
Kids are the ones that are losing, and that's the problem. because, you know, you mess up the kids and then you start control, you know, everybody's like, oh, isn't it great that they want to do like universal preschool for 3-year-olds? No, that's actually one of the most terrifying things I can think of, because they just have your kids for longer.
Well,
they don't need them.
I mean, even the Head Start program, again, you know, the Head Start program, when I was a kid, I was put in that, and my mom afterwards was like, yeah, basically you give your children over to these people and it was attached to the college. So it was all these psychology majors going, what's wrong with your kid? Let's find something. Like, no, just let the kid, okay? Just, gosh, sorry.
Psychology majors, the worst ones of all.
We haven't mentioned multiple bans on Twitter.
Oh my God. I think I have the title. I have given myself the title and the crown for the most banned person and the most unbanned person, I think.
That's right. How many accounts do you have now?
I'm on my second one. So my first Twitter account, I was banned 3 times. I fought them and I beat them twice on one account. And the third one, I couldn't get it undone. But then I made a new one eventually. And I just got my original one unbanned. So I've beaten 4 Twitter bans, 11 Instagram bans, 30 plus Facebook suspensions, a Tinder ban.
Wow.
Wait, how do you even manage that?
Because I had my picture at the White House from the Republican convention.
Oh, heaven forbid.
I know.
That's a mortal sin on Tinder, I would assume. I've never had to use it, but
it's a mortal sin just to be on Tinder, though. Yeah, though I apparently I have some like skill for getting my bans undone. So I think I'm actually going to make a video of like all my tricks for getting unbanned.
That's handy, you know, because it's probably we're all gonna need it probably some point. So that would be good.
It's funny, by the way, whenever I see somebody is banned, I try to help them and tell them like my tricks to get it done. And I couldn't care less. I'm like, fine, don't take my help. I'm only the most unbanned person ever.
It's like, I could actually help you, or do you want to stay banned? Okay, I guess.
No, they don't want my help. They want to complain. Yeah.
So have you gotten banned on YouTube also, or just those other platforms?
No, actually.
Really?
We'll see. Hopefully that's not like an omen.
Dude, even we've had a video taken down off of YouTube.
I haven't had any, but I haven't done as many like the last year. I'm starting to get back into doing more. I got banned from Instagram, and I was in this cycle where they kept like banning me and unbanning me 11 times, but I finally got it back, I think. But I learned honestly, for anyone watching this who's like in danger of getting banned, I wish I would have learned this sooner. Back all your shit up. Have backup accounts for everything. I learned that eventually.
What would you say is your like most banned content? Like, what do they really hate?
Breathing. My name. My name is the most banned. And my face, I guess. No, what sucks is like they don't want to admit that it's political. So it's always just like ridiculous words they get me on. Like Instagram, I was banned because I had a picture of myself and it was like me laying down. It was like portrait of a tired hooker. That was hate speech.
Against yourself.
Yeah.
You know, that's the one thing that kills me the most, is that liberalism sucks the joy out of everything, quite literally. You cannot even have a sense of humor, or you're going to get in trouble, you're going to get banned, you're going to get yeah, heaven forbid you try to make a joke, because that's like the worst thing you can do.
I can't imagine what it would be like being around those people. Like that sort of year or however long where I was still surrounded by them as my views were like slowly changing and I was starting to wake up to this stuff, was just miserable. Everything is a problem. Everything. And it's always, you know how sometimes, maybe it's just me, but sometimes you'll like say something or make a dark joke and you'll be like, ooh, that was offensive. And no one notices. And but it's never that. It's always the stuff that would never in a million years occur to you could be twisted into being offensive. My favorite was this chick I used to know. who was a writer for BuzzFeed. She had posted an article on Facebook that she wrote about Gwyneth Paltrow from Goop was selling like a $25,000 24 karat gold dildo. And I commented my exact words. I will never forget this. My exact words. I was like, wow, I can't believe this is real. I thought it was The Onion. She's ridiculous. 100 people. You're male privilege. How dare you? You're abusing women. You're denigrating women. You white male privilege. Son of, like, it was just endless on and on. I'm like, whew. Or then someone, do you remember when the Pulse Orlando shooting happened? Some person I knew then like wrote this whole thing about how she went to a memorial that they had for the victims and was heckling the memorial because there were too many white people there. She's white, of course. And every one of the comments were like, oh, you're so brave. That's so wonderful to heckle a memorial for dead people. But I'm the asshole.
Right. And, with the intro on the Gwyneth Paltrow joke, I was waiting for the punchline. That wasn't a punchline comment. That was just a, wow, that's nuts. What?
Yeah. No, but she's a woman, so you can't.
Yes, a woman who can sell outrageously overpriced and often kind of gross stuff.
She is great at being a con artist.
Uh-huh.
I love her in the way that I love like The Room. I love to hate watch Gwyneth Paltrow.
That's the thing, though. They take the joy out of everything. Because if I had seen that article, I also would have said, I thought this was fake, because who would buy that? But heaven forbid you like have two brain cells to rub together.
This was literally like every day of my life for a good year there. Like I'd go out to a bar for a birthday party and someone would say, like, I'd give big hugs to people and someone said something and I was like, oh yeah, my hugs are like a step away from date rape. They had a whole meeting about that they felt unsafe by my saying that. And I'm a rape apologist.
Oh my God.
And this is where, the colliding of two worlds is so funny to me, because there are some like ultra Christian homeschooling circles that are like side hugs only, no full frontal hugging.
Oh,
and I always thought that was hilarious. I'm like, no, it's the same thing. It's finally come around. It's touching each other. It's like on one side, it was always like, yeah, those people need to chill a little bit. Just give someone a hug. And now it's like the other side, which would condemn, the quote nerds entirely. Like, oh, you must be horrible or oppressed or something. And now hugging is also bad over here.
No, I mean, the leftists are the new Puritans. But I always say, like I've said at a bunch of events and stuff, I'm always like, don't become what you walked away from. Because there are some people, thank God it's a minority, I think, but there are some people on the right who like don't want to hear a word of criticism about Trump, or like don't want to hear, like, I think it's a minority, but they annoy me because it's like, don't become like these people.
It comes back to the thing where you just need to accept people. You're not always going to like everything people do, because people are people and we're all different. We all have different things going on up here. And I don't have to agree with everything that you do to like you or want you around or.
Yeah. I think like it's kind of how I was raised, that like my family are all artists, that like from the time I was a little kid, a phrase I always heard so much from my mom, that because she was like, back in the day, she was like a big Howard Stern fan before he totally sold out. He's horrible now. But when they were trying to censor him and stuff, I remember hearing her say over and over when I was a little kid, if you don't like something, change the channel. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly how I feel as an adult now. If you don't like something, change the channel. If you don't like a person, don't associate with them. Don't like, it's not that deep. But no, this Saturday, we're doing our first WalkAway event in like a year and a half in Beverly Hills. If anyone's around there or in LA, Beverly Hills River, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be a big party. I think we're really trying to make it something that's very uplifting. So yeah, it's just gonna be like a big party. We have awesome speakers. Gothix is gonna be there. I don't know if you know her. I love her so much. Josh Denny, Shamika Michelle, Brandon Straub. It's gonna be great. Me, I'll throw myself in there.
That sounds fun. So is that like a just free for all, or is it a ticketed event? People have to plan ahead.
No, it's like they ask people to register so they have an idea of like how many people are coming. So you can go to walkawaycampaign.com/events and register. But if you don't, it's fine.
That's cool.
Excited. It's gonna be awesome.
That's cool. And are there going to be like live replays of it, or just the people who are in are in?
I don't know. I always ask. I always try to find someone to ask to like film my speech so I can like post it. So damn, I need to figure out who I'm gonna ask to do that. I need to plan for this. I feel like clips always. Oh, also, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but I will anyway. It's happening like across the street, basically, from this like leftist art fair.
Oh, that's going to be
So it's gonna be some good shit, is all I'm saying. Like, you know, there's gonna be some clips of some discussions happening. And there's a whole, it's like a rally and there's a march. It's gonna be super, super fun.
cool.
That's awesome.
On my wall across from me right now, I have like index cards and literally string writing my speech like a goddamn serial killer.
Just true crime walled your own apartment to write.
Yes. Yep.
Like, I gotta find the connection.
It's like joke, not joke, joke.
That's awesome. I give you so much credit because I don't mind doing this kind of thing, but getting up in front of a group of people and then knowing that people are also going to be like hating on me while I'm doing it, like that's amazing, very fabulous that you can do that because.
Oh no, I get nervous. Not the hating part. I could care less if they hate me, but I still get nervous speaking.
Yeah, but I can't imagine. Like I have trouble just even. I teach classes at homeschool and I get nervous talking to like the teenagers I have to talk to. So I think it's really cool that you can even do that. That's awesome.
Oh, thanks. I love it.
Good luck for your event. Everyone check out. I think it's called the No Guts, No Glory event on, was it May 21st?
It's this Saturday. Yes.
Saturday, yeah.
So it'll be the same day you're seeing this. So if you see it, come out.
Get out there.
Get over.
Yeah.
Run, don't walk.
Press pause, come to us, and then press play after.
Exactly. But yeah, we're so happy you joined us. I'm so glad that Carrie sent you our video and that you were like, you wanted to meet us because that's exciting and fun.
You guys are awesome. No,
Oh.
Carrie's the best. She's like one of my best friends. She's just the greatest person.
It's awesome.
And you know, there are a lot of people who are like afraid to tell the truth. So I love that you guys were like unabashed.
Like, let's go.
Well, you know, we try to tell the truth we try to tell facts as they are. That's what we've decided we want to do. Because, you know, people are people and that everybody's going to make missteps, but sometimes it needs to be brought to the light. And Carrie's always been a good friend of us. So, you know, we want to make sure people knew that she was cool.
She's the best.
Yeah, where can people find you besides WalkAway?
I'm currently not banned from anything. I don't think I've ever said that before. I have Twitter that's not Mike Harlow. I had to be not Mike Harlow, and then my old one got restored. So now I'm like,
No, you're.
I don't know.
It's like
I swear.
One says truth and one says lie. You're Mike Harlow and you're not Mike Harlow.
No, I can never be Mike Harlow because I swear I want to put a hit on the guy who's on Twitter at Mike Harlow or at Mikey Harlow. They have not tweeted in like 15 years, and I will never get that handle. But I'm not Mike Harlow on Twitter. Instagram is Sleepy Harlow. Now it's Sleepy Harlow _, which pisses me off. I had to like add that to get myself out of the chain of being the cycle of being banned and unbanned. I had to add the _. But what else do I have? I was banned from TikTok. I made another one. I made it 9 days on there. I made another one, and I just got my warning that I'm about to get banned again. So. Or at YouTube also. My YouTube channel has been a bit barren, but I'm working on it. Oh, I should say I'm working on a really cool project for June that because you know June is the alphabet people month. They're ridiculous. Pride Month.
Uh-huh.
Remember when it was a day? It's like those assholes who go, "Oh, it's my birthday week." Shut up. You have a birthday. Birthday. So anyway, though, I'm going to be putting out a series every week in June called Dark Side of the Rainbow. So telling the truth about the alphabet people. So the first one is the truth about gay culture, and then different subjects. And we're doing live shows. And I can't say much about this yet, but I'm also going undercover somewhere, and that'll be out at the end of June.
That sounds exciting. I can't wait to see it. That's awesome.
So yeah, it's been a very, very, very demoralizing year and a half, and stuck in New York, being segregated. So I kind of took a lot of time off from like consistently making videos and stuff. So now I'm kind of like throwing myself back into it, ready to kick some ass.
Thanks for joining us. I'm so happy you were able to come. And for our followers, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Liking, commenting boosts us, helps other people find us. We're on Instagram, YouTube, Rumble. And please remember to check out Chicken Lady Fiber Arts. She has fabulous yarn. You can get 20% off using the code PIK Mayday20 on your order. Make sure you check out her yarn.
The Carry yarn.
And
yes. The Carry yarn. This is the Carry yarn right here. Carry yarn. So check out. She's got the programs. It's beautiful. Everybody, thanks for joining us. It's been lots of fun. We will see you next week when we have another special guest. So make sure you tune in to find out who it'll be. All right. Thanks, guys.